I'm going to call this meeting to order. I have 7 p.m. Is there any disclosure of appearance, interest, general nature thereof? Yes.
Yes, on item L7, there's a resolution be it resolved that Bill Foster be appointed deputy mayor for the remainder of the term, and the deputy mayor gets a little higher rate of pay, so I have a pecuniary interest.
Okay, thank you. Can you file the necessary paperwork?
Yeah.
Good. So just as a reminder, our meeting is streamed. So usually I say that first. So we have we're going to start with a public hearing. So we have the details in the package. We have a consent application, BO4/19 and BO5/19. Do we have anyone to speak on those that's here? Yes.
BO5/19.
Okay. You can go ahead.
Wow.
Yeah, we should maybe move that over. Okay, we'll move that over. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Abhi Pakinathan of Dillon Consulting Limited, representing the owner 2327451 Ontario Inc., the tenant TDO Group Corp. Operating as Tim Hortons at 701 Center Street in the town of Escala. The application is for the purpose of obtaining consent for a long-term lease in excess of 21 years. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Now, does anybody have any questions? We do have those items as our first two because of our regular business. So we will not take the motion now, but we'll do the motion at that time. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. Put your hand up or something. Just your glasses on. We have no delegation this evening. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, then we will move on to our consent agenda. We'll just ask if there's any items that anybody wishes to send.
Okay, so we have a motion moved by Councilor Millat, seconded by Councilor Van Alstyne. Be it resolved that items F1 to T5 inclusive contained in Part 1 consent agenda be adopted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll just go through the items, and again, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask or make your comments. So under the adoption of minutes, we have item F1, the regular meeting of council as of November 26th, 2019. F2, the special meeting of council of November 26th, 2019. And we had a special meeting of council on November 28th, 2019.
I have one question, and it is the regular November 26th meeting.
Okay.
Under business arising from board and committee.
Can you just tell us what page number your package you're on?
It says page 7 of 88.
Okay, thank you.
So this year one recommended by the corporate services regarding the fees bylaw. Did we not say that that was going to, after they reviewed the actual costs and fees, that it was going to come back to us?
Yeah, this issue was just one amendment that we had approved at that meeting. But then as the departments are reviewing fees, it's going to continue to come back.
Okay.
It was just for one particular change.
Thank you.
Okay, so under board and committee reports, we have item G1, which is Community Services Committee meeting as of November 19th, 2019. And item G2, Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, November 26th, 2019. Any comments on either of those? Yes.
I have one on page 16 of 88. Part B, procedural bylaw draft. It's just simply a question. One of the items we had discussed when I was there was with regards to the fire truck, the extra vehicle that they drive around and civilians being in it. What was the resolution at that meeting?
We left it in there, and when we get to the whole council, we can change it at that point in time.
Okay, so it hasn't been changed
Yeah.
or anything. Thank you.
We just left the way it was, okay, because we had some disagreement around the table, so we said we let the whole council, we wouldn't recommend anything because it looked like it was a 2-2 vote, okay, for that, so we just said we'd leave it there, and the
Okay,
whole council can make the final decision on that.
thank you.
Yes.
Is that to come back in January then?
It's to come back when we have the next procedure bylaw meeting.
That was a code of conduct item, it wasn't on the procedure.
Yeah, that was
Oh, yeah,
code of
it's
conduct,
You're right.
Not sure.
but those are on, those will continue on until we knock those off, okay, so,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, you're right, that was code of conduct.
Okay, we have no matters arising from any in-camera session at our committee meetings. We have business arising from boards and committees. We have item I1, which is a recommendation regarding the community engagement plan. Any questions or comments on that? We have a bylaw 294619, our confirmatory bylaw, it's confirm our proceedings, it's standard. Under reports, we have item K1, Leisure Services Departmental Report for October 2019. K2, Economic Development Department Report for October 2019. Building Services Departmental Report for October 2019. Fire Department Report for October 2019. And item K5, Board of Health, Public Health and Sudbury District Meeting Minutes of November 21st, 2019. And I'd like to make a comment on that one. Page 39 of 88, if you want to flip to that. I'm not sure how closely some of you might have taken a look at their meeting minutes, but they have received a funding cut from the provincial government. They went through their budget. They're still recommending an increase of 0.76% on their budget. So they're planning on passing the cost overruns basically to municipalities. And so they're saying that their budget is going to include a 10% increase in the municipal levy section. So that's going to be a huge impact because basically it's a flow through. They didn't look like they cut their programming. They're just planning on passing the increase off to municipalities. So yes,
This 10% increase, is that to be divided up between these?
it would be, yeah, but to a maximum of that 10% municipal levy. So whatever our budget was on that item now, looks like it's going to be significantly higher next year. So I just wanted to point that out. It's still a pretty large increase.
Where does it say that? I'm sorry, I don't.
Sorry,
Oh, over here on this page, okay, because
yeah,
I
page
was,
39.
39,
Then
okay.
second,
yeah, I see it
last
there.
full paragraph, and it's
Yeah.
also on the next page also.
Okay. Yeah, I did read that.
So I just wanted to point out your attention to that, just in case you hadn't seen that. Any other comments on any of those reports? Okay, I'll call a motion that we adopt the consent agenda. All in favor? Okay, that's carried.
Yeah, I have a motion moved by Councilor Duport, seconded by Councilor Nawat. Be it resolved that consent to application B-0418 be approved with the conditions: 1, the balance of any outstanding taxes, including penalties and interest, shall be paid to the town of Espanola if required. And 2, that all conditions of this decision be fulfilled and the documents present to the town of the issuance and the documents present to the town of issuance of the certificate of consent within a period not to exceed 12 months from the date of decision. Is that, right? Right?
Okay, I'll open this up for discussion. Any comments? Yes.
There's nothing that's gonna change there, right? It's just, they're just taking back their lease and going again. Basically, is that it?
I think
I was gonna say, as far as I understand, everything from this, it's a requirement of the Planning Act,
That's right.
that if the lease is more than 21 years, that they have to go through.
That's, and they have to get it
approval
redone.
process.
That's
Yeah.
correct. So I imagine everything is gonna stay.
Everything, well, that's the details of the leases, up to them, right? We
Yeah.
just have to say that we agree to a long-term lease.
And we do, but I mean, just saying. Okay,
Well,
thanks.
we haven't yet.
Well, no, that's true.
I think a long-term lease is good for the municipality, like it provides some stability to the businesses. Any other comments? Okay, so I'll call the motion, all in favor? Okay, that's been carried.
Okay, next motion moved by Councilor Foster, seconded by Councilor Milot, be it resolved that consent application B-0519 be approved with the conditions: one, the balance of any outstanding taxes, including penalties and interest, shall be paid to the town of Espanola if required; and two, that all conditions of this decision be fulfilled with the documents presented to the town of issuance of the certificate of consent within a period not to exceed 12 months from the date of decision.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor? Okay, the motion is carried. So those are the two motions, and they will be carried.
Okay, next resolution moved by Councilor Milot, seconded by Councilor Foster, be it resolved that one, in keeping with the advice of the town's insurer, staff obtain a legal opinion on full harmless agreements with respect to private citizen plowing onto municipal property and the town's liability with such an agreement in place; and two, that staff act in accordance with the advice of the town solicitor.
Okay, any questions or comments on this issue? Yes.
I do have concerns about this. I would like to see the language of the bylaw before we vote on it, onto what we're going to change it to, because the simple ask was, we had problems with the language. The bylaw officer didn't understand the language that it's even a reference to in the community service meeting. Well, it's the same thing. We're going to vote on this recommendation, it's the same as the other one, so we have to be,
Okay, but this one is specifically for.
I know that, but the recommendation is the same. It's the same. We're talking about plowing onto municipal property. And then the insurer's report, it says we don't recommend council to allow private citizens to plow and use a vacant municipal lot. There's two different things. They're two different things altogether. So if we agree with this, then the next one is kind of redundant, I think.
Okay, this one is specifically with the car wash.
I know it is, but it's the same report. The same language is in there from the insurer.
Okay, yes.
So may I say something here?
Clarify if you want.
Yeah, I sort of thought the same thing. I thought this applied to, this resolution was applying not to just a specific request. It was, we had written record of 2 requests. And we also had the insurance company say it's not such a great idea. And if you were to allow it, you would have to protect yourselves by having the people in that area sign a waiver of some sort. And we've asked for a legal opinion on what a waiver would actually do, what are the implications there, before we go ahead with approving anything. I sort of think we should just wait to get that response back from the lawyer and then make a decision on whether we want to proceed.
Okay, are you proposing that we alter this motion, make amendment the motion to strike number 2, and just seek the opinion and bring it back to council?
Yeah. That would be, I think, a reasonable thing to do.
So is this like, are we doing one for a business and one for resident? Like,
One,
it's going to be
one
two
is
separate but the same issue?
two separate but the same issue.
One for a business and one for a resident?
One is because there's a site plan agreement with one business, and the other one is not just for an individual, there's a business involved in that as well, but it came in through a different venue.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Because a lawyer may come back and say, we should redo the wording, okay, of the waiver. We had some wording, a waiver that was sort of prepared, okay, or suggested. And maybe the lawyer would look at it and say, you should put a couple more items in there to make sure we protect the community in case somebody climbs a pile of snow and gets hurt, for example.
okay, so you are going to make a motion then to amend this motion?
Okay, in keeping with advice, okay, item 1 is all right. In keeping with advice, we're going to obtain a legal opinion. Once legal opinion is received, council will make a decision on how to proceed.
Just,
Just let me make the.
Okay.
So
we already
call
got
it
legal
item
opinion
2.
though. We already got legal opinion.
No, we didn't.
No?
We got
That's
an
from the
opinion from the
insurance.
insurance company.
Okay, and that's what, okay, you're referencing that, okay.
Yeah, and at corporate services, we thought it would be, I can't remember if the corporate services are not there, but we turned around and thought we can ask for a waiver. That was one of the suggestions of ways we can go. We can either refuse all the exceptions, or we can ask for a waiver. But either way, we should have a lawyer look at what the implications are.
Okay, so I have changed the wording based on what you said, and that, so item 2 is struck as it exists now, and the new item 2 is legal opinion is to be brought back to council for a decision.
Can you read that again, okay?
Okay, so item 2 was struck as it exists now,
Yeah,
and the new item 2 I have as legal opinion is to be brought back to council for a decision.
perfect.
Okay, so we have
In
to
my
vote
mind,
on
anyway.
that amendment, all in favor of the amendment? Okay, so I will need both yourself and Councilor Millat to initial that amendment, please. Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the amended motion? Okay, so I'll call the motion, all in favor? Okay, that's carried.
And the next item moved by Councillor Foster, seconded by Councillor Duplessis, be it resolved that, one, in keeping with the advice of the town's insurer, staff obtain legal opinion on hold harmless agreements with respect to private citizen filing onto municipal property and the town's liability with such an agreement in place, and 2, staff act in accordance with the advice of the town solicitor.
Might I make the suggestion that we alter this wording to be the same as the previous
Yes.
motion?
Yeah,
All in favor of that amendment? Okay, so I will make that change, and then we'll need a signature. Okay, so I'll need yourself, Council, Western Council, do proceed to initial vote, please. Thank you. Any further discussion on this motion? Okay, sorry, yeah.
I've never seen this as a problem. I mean, it's a problem, I guess, now, but I've never seen it as a problem. It was just a problem last year because of the snow we had. We had a lot of snow, and some people did put snow across the road. And this is one of the items in here. And there was no reason for charging these people. They didn't do anything wrong. They just put it in a spot that nobody was using. And they made sure it was in there really well because I wouldn't look. And there was no windrow across the road or anything. So, I mean, and even if there wasn't much. If there, I didn't see any. There might have been earlier that day, but not then. If this is all because of that, like, I mean, like, I don't want to start charging our people for moving snow a little bit from one side to the other, as long as they're not infringing on somebody else's yard or anything like that. I don't want to be given.
Well, we're asking for, we have the insurance.
No, I know what you were
We're
asking for.
For the legal opinion.
Yeah.
on this issue.
You just said you have anything more, and I
Yeah.
thought I'd say it before we got the legal opinion and pay money for it. That's why I'm saying this.
Are you intending to make a motion that we don't seek a legal opinion then?
Well, I'd like to see us not have to go through all of this. Like, I mean, it's being done because of a certain thing. I mean, if there was, if this was a continuous problem, yeah, then something should be done. But not in a case like this. I just don't see it as a big problem. Now, maybe somebody else does, but
Councilor Foster.
Ken sort of brought this up at the last meeting or at the corporate services meeting, but just because it doesn't look like a thing, if someone climbs that extra big bank and gets hurt, what are the implications for the community? Can they be sued for $500,000 or something like that?
well,
If
that's a
they
good question,
seriously
but
get
that's been
hurt?
going on for how long?
It may very well be, but we had a bylaw that probably wasn't being properly enforced. So we have to maybe change the wording on the bylaw depending on what comes out of this too, I believe. Is that fair to say?
I would expect so.
Okay, and some of this came out of the fact that the bylaw enforcement officer, or people that were doing the bylaw enforcement, were trying to enforce the bylaws. And we had these situations where people were moving snow. So, and they said, is that acceptable or not? Would they want some guidance? And we're trying to get to that.
Yeah, because it was allowed to be pushed across the road, but not with a plow. It had to be pushed with a shovel. Doesn't matter how it gets there. I mean, it gets there. And it doesn't rip up the road, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're gonna get legal, I guess we're gonna get legal.
Yeah, and if there are changes to the actual bylaw or anything that comes out of the recommendations, that will come back to council.
Okay, we'll wait for legal advice then.
Okay.
Proceed.
So I'll call the motion, all in favor? Okay, motion is carried.
Okay, next item moved by Councilor Duplessis, second by Councilor Foster, be it.
Excuse me?
Sorry.
Question. Just to clarify, so right now, everything is gonna stay the status quo with the snowplow?
Yes.
Okay,
This is-
just wanted to
We're just
clarify
getting
that.
a legal opinion on this.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Be it resolved that the council adopt the amended agreement for municipal hazardous or special waste with Stewardship Ontario dated August 16, 2019.
Okay, any comments or questions on this issue? Okay, we'll call the motion, all in favor?
Next item moved by Councilor Foster, second by Councilor Duplessis, be it resolved that Telecom Enterprises be engaged to complete a telecommunication review and phone system review.
I'm just gonna make a comment that this is slightly different than the recommendation in our package, or It says it completed telecommunication review in the phone system of FP in the package. Should this motion say FP? So I'm just gonna get Councillor Foster and Councillor Duplessis to initial the update, just so that it reflects the same recommendation in the package. Any discussion on this item? Yes.
Just to clarify, so we are looking at hiring this telecom enterprise to send out proposals for different companies to bring in a telephone system. Am I understanding this or am I way out?
That's part of it. Part of it is to do a full review, to see if we can get better rates or recommend some changes. And then the second part of that is we know we need a new telephone system. And so they would do the RFP for us because it kind of ties together.
Okay, and that would be like to link all departments in all areas of our property that we own? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I think that 35,000, that is the full amount, and the 540 is just that we're taking it out monthly. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll call the motion. All in favor? Okay, motion is carried.
Next item moved by Councilor Duplessis, second by Councilor Van Alstyne, be it resolved that Bill Foster be appointed as deputy mayor for the remainder of this council term.
Okay, well, I'll speak to this motion. I asked them to come back. You probably recall a year ago when we first formed. I thought, well, rather than doing a 4-year appointment for a deputy mayor, we'll do a 1 year, make sure everything is going very smoothly, and I'm very happy with what Councilor Foster does as deputy mayor. So I'd like to re-elect him or reappoint him for the remainder of the term. Any questions or comments?
I don't know where he went, so you probably won't see him the rest of the year.
No, you can clear up your first time to sign up. You just didn't disappear.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, I'll call a motion. All in favor? Okay, that is carried. Hopefully doesn't disappear too far or we're going to know that he's coming. Oh, he's coming back. Okay. Okay, the motion was carried. Okay, going on, we have a list of items that were received for correspondence. Actually, there's one item, and the document, we have the documentation, it is the budget to actual report for the period ending November 30th, 2019. Is there any questions on that report? Those are the last few financial pages in your package.
I haven't had time to look it over, so I may have questions later on, but right now.
Okay. Yes.
I was kind of impressed. There's more minus signs than there are plus signs. And I thought maybe that was a good thing.
Mhm.
We don't often see that, so it's nice to see.
Well, hopefully we haven't spent all our money yet. Years now.
True.
Okay, we've also received a number of other pieces of information that was circulated by mail. If there's any copies of information that you need, you've accidentally deleted something and want to go back and review something, just contact the town staff and they'll get you a copy of that. We don't have anybody that has signed up for the Roma conference. As far as I know, we're not requesting any delegations. Especially if we don't have anybody signed up, but if there is, but I haven't heard of any need for delegation on any issue So we'll go on to mayor and council reports. I'll just start here and go around the table.
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything here.
Councilor Duplessis?
I'd like to thank the volunteers again from town, the Lion Club members and the firefighters for participating in the CTV telethon. That was gives us a good name. And I wish safe holiday wishes to staff, council, and their families, and the citizens of Espanola.
Thank you. Councilor Valentine?
Yes, I have a letter to read. I am in receipt of an email from Robert Swayze, Integrity Commissioner for the town of Espanola, with reference to a written complaint filed with Mr. Swayze by Kathy Tessier, Manager of Financial Services. Miss Kathy Tessier stated that on the night of December 3rd, 2019, at a Corporate Services Committee meeting, that I, Maureen Van Alstyne, Councillor for the town of Espanola, yelled at Kathy Tessier, saying Kathy Tessier was not part of members allowed in this in-camera meeting. I was then advised by members of the Corporate Services Committee that Kathy Tessier was the Manager of Finance and could stay, which Kathy Tessier did. I am hereby formally apologizing for my behavior, which Kathy Tessier viewed as disrespectful and discourteous.
Thank you.
I have a couple of other things, if I may. Thanks to the letter from Kathy, I went and looked on our website for our policies and bylaws, and the closest one I could come to anything, like we don't have a policy itself for in-camera meetings, and the closest I could come was part of the procedural bylaw, and I'm not sure if it's, I believe that's one we're still working on. And that does mention closed in-camera meetings, but nowhere in that Article 27 does it mention who is or is not allowed to attend those meetings. So I'm putting forward a request to, I believe it would go to Corporate Services, that we have this on our Corporate Services agenda, that we should be looking at who should or should not be attending these meetings. And I also want to take the time to thank Kathy for bringing this forward to my attention, because without her due diligence in helping me to correct my ways, I would not have looked at that. So I'm very thankful for her for having bringing it forward. The other item I would like, which I'm not sure whether it go to Corporate Services or not, but I did go and meet with the Chief Building Official, Dan Rebeck. We had a discussion, and we were also talking with regards to outstanding permits. And I find it very unsettling that the software he's using is not bringing forward all the details and information he needs. In fact, he said at one point that the clerk may have more information on outstanding building permits than what he was able to access. And that some of those outstanding permits could go back to the early 1990s. And I just find myself that this is very not acceptable. Like, we have to have a better grip on what permits are outstanding and what's holding them up. Mr. Rivera indicated that within the next 2 to 3 years, he's planning on leaving. And I think this is a matter that we should have cleared up before he goes. And so I think that perhaps something on the Corporate Services, I'm not sure if it would go to corporate or community, but we should be looking at a means of clearing up these backlogs of outstanding building permits and whatever else there is in that department. I mean, going back to the 1990s, if that is indeed accurate, is way too long to have outstanding permits.
We at the budget meeting, or pre-budget meeting, we had a little discussion on data processing processes, okay? And so when it comes to the budget, we may want to allocate some money to upgrade some of these systems.
That's an excellent idea. Definitely, because there's certainly, from what I was gleaning from our conversation, there's a definite need here that needs to be addressed.
And we do have money, grant of $600 and some thousand to improve municipal processes. So I believe that we can use grant money to do that.
Yes, go ahead.
Just to share some information with Councilor Van Alstyne's second item. So I just want to mention that the members of each committee is listed in the committee terms of reference in the new procedural bylaw that we've been reviewing since last January. So that, everybody has had 6 or 7 rounds of that. With respect to the building permit system, we just implemented that in 2014. And so prior to that, we kept track on Excel spreadsheets. And that's why none of that information has come forward. And as the building department gets time, they do go back through old files and check that. But if someone from 1990 had a permit and never came to get it closed, and we can't force them to do that either. So that's part of the problem. It's not just the software that we use. And the only reason that Paul is maybe able to get the clerk is able to get some reports that the chief building official can't is just because of her knowledge of the system. It's not any restricted access or anything like that. So, I mean, we definitely will be providing more training in the future. So,
Thank you. Any other items?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Buford?
I have nothing.
Councilor Moore?
Okay.
Okay, one of the things that I would like to bring up is on November 29th, there was a staff appreciation Christmas dinner in Social. And we had a number of staff that have significant years of service that I was able to attend and participate in the recognition of that. So I'd like to go through that list of employees now. Paula Rock was awarded 15 years of service. We have Denise Kowalski and Christine Desjardins with 20 years of experience each in our community. We have, at 25 years, we have Wayne McCutcheon. And then we also have 3 volunteer firefighters at 25 years of experience, Rael Lachance, Andre Terrien, and Marcel Doe. So significant time commitments to the municipality, and we appreciate all of their time and their work. I don't have anything else. We do have our next council meeting is actually going to be January 14th. And our corporate services is the week before that on January 7th. And we will have a special meeting of the council that is in camera after this, and there will be a motion following that meeting. So just let me know. So I should have a motion for them. Okay, so the motion to adjourn is at 7:48. All in favor? Okay, that's carried.